What's up YouTube, welcome back to Celio's Network. I'm recording this deck profile live during my Twitch stream. If you don't already follow me and check out the streams, go ahead and follow the link in the description below. I'm doing a quick deck profile here on my Zoroark-Garbodor list that I've been using. I've been practicing with this a fair amount and expanded. I think it's really strong. I saw a list posted on Twitter by Main Ahmed from Canada. He top 4'd a League Cup, I believe, with a Zoroark list. And I made a few changes, probably 5 to 8 card changes, I believe. And I've ended up with this. I think this deck is really strong. Seems like tier 1 to me at the moment. I might be missing some things though, as usual. It's hard to really tell since we haven't had an expanded tournament for Black and White through Lost Thunder yet. I'm just going to go through the deck since people have been requesting Zoroark-Garbodor. So we have Ditto Prism Star, really great since we're playing 2 stage 1 lines. We're playing 3 different Garbodor, or 3 Garbodor in total and only 2 Trubbish, so a lot of times this is just going to be a 3rd Trubbish in the games where we need it. But it can also be a 5th Zorua, so super versatile, great to have around. We got 1 Oranguru Resource Management. I end up using this on turn 1 every now and again if I start it or if I start Floatstone and go into the Guru. It allows me to just kind of dump my whole hand and go for a really aggressive setup. And it's nice to have around against decks that are getting rid of our special energy and just getting resources back in general. That's what resource management is for. We have 2 Shaman to help us get to dig for cards we might need, like DCE or the Clef Key for our Garbodor, like I believe I just did in the last game I was playing. It's good on turn 1 if you can like empty your hand, play Bridget, draw a fresh new 6, get some extra basic Pokemon down. And because of Skyfield, unless our opponent has Sudowoodo out, we can play 8 Pokemon on our bench, so there's plenty of room for cards like Shaman. And we're playing 4 Zorua with Paralyzing Gaze, probably the best Zorua to play, since you can flip a coin if heads the defending Pokemon is now paralyzed. We're playing 1 Zoroark with Foul Play, which is absolutely nutty against Pokemon with big one-hit knockout attacks. Notably, you can use Foul Play and a Choice Band to copy Knuckle Impact to KO a Buzzwole. Again, so basically things like Buzzwole, big one-hit knockout Pokemon that you don't want to put a Zoroark-GX up there. You can just do it with a 1 Prizer a little more efficiently, so Foul Play is great. We have 4 Zoroark-GX with Trade. The trade ability is amazing, that when it coupled with Propagate, the execute ability that we'll get to in just a second. Riotous Beating with Skyfield down does 180 if you have a full bench of 8, and 210 with Choice Band, so really good numbers there. And we won't be using Trickster GX at all in this deck. We have 2 Clef Key. So basically when this Pokemon's on your bench, you can attach it to a Pokemon as a tool, and it prevents damage done to that Pokemon by Mega Evolution Pokemon next turn. You can use it to prevent damage done by Mega Evolutions. The only Mega Evolution I believe that is viable right now is Mega Gardevoir with Despair Ray, the dual-type Psychic Fairy Gardevoir. But this is really just here to use to attach to Garbotoxin to have a tool card to activate Garbotoxin. We're playing 2 Execute Propagate, really great to use Propagate and Trade, or double Propagate Ultra Ball, or double Propagate Dowsing Machine. It's just a really powerful ability that we can take advantage of in this deck and expand it really well. Next we have 2 Tapu Lele GX to get our supporters. Energy Drive is a bit underwhelming in this deck since we just have Riotous Beating that can hit for almost always more damage for just a DCE, since we'll have so many benched Pokemon in most cases. So this is pretty much here just for Wonder Tag to get a supporter card. Next we're using 2 Trubbish Garbage Collection. You could use the one that I believe it does 20 for a DCE. Let's see. I believe we can look at other Trubbishes here. Yeah, there's one that does pound 20 for a DCE. I believe that's the only other viable one to use. We could use Tool Drop. We would be attaching a DCE and a Psychic for that. But I think Garbage Collection's probably the best. It can just get any one card from your discard pile and put it on top of your deck for a single energy. We aren't actively trying to use Garbage Collection, but if we're ever stuck with a Trubbish in the active, I think I'd prefer it to be this one. Next, we have one Trashalanche Garbodor. We are playing 2 Rescue Stretcher, we're playing the Resource Management, and we're playing Dowsing Machine. So if we need more than one Trashalanche in a game, I'm pretty positive we'll be able to get that going. But Trashalanche is really, really great and expanded. Much better than it is in Standard now, I believe, because expanded can really punish tools and abilities turn 1, just go really aggro. Decks like Turbo Dark and decks like Rayquaza GX, Blacephalon GX, decks that can really abuse Max Elixir and multiple Shamans. Both of the Garbodors are really good. Zoroark decks themselves, as you can see in my list, they play a fair amount of items, so Garbodor is just really great against a spread of different archetypes. And we also have 2 of the Garbotoxin Garbodor. If this Pokemon has a Pokemon tool card attached to it, each Pokemon in play, player's hands, and player's discard pile have no abilities. So the ideal situation is you take your whole turn, you have an 8th Pokemon in your hand that's not Klefki, you bench Klefki, you attach it to Garbodor shutting off powers, bench your other Pokemon, you hit Riotous Beating for 180 or 210, whatever damage you need to hit, and you have locked your opponent's abilities for the turn. But coming back into your turn, the Klefki removes itself because it only lasts for 1 turn, and then you have your abilities back, kind of like Bursting Balloon, but we're using Klefki. It's easy to get back with Rescue Stretcher and easy to search out. So that's it for our Pokemon. We're playing 24 Pokemon, quite a bit, but they're all fairly important. The only Pokemon I think could be cut considerably is the Oranguru. Excuse me, I have it there as kind of a safety net, but like I said, I have been getting use out of it, even against non-control decks. We're playing 1 Battle Compressor. I think a 2nd Battle Compressor would be very nice, but definitely isn't needed. Usually Battle Compressor is being used to search our deck, in our deck and discard out the Executes, and probably a supporter card that we might want to use that turn or in a future turn with Versus Seeker to retrieve it. In case you didn't know, Battle Compressor searches your deck for 3 cards and discards them, up to 3 cards. Our ace spec of choice is Dowsing Machine. Discard 2 cards from your hand, put a trainer card from your discard pile into your hand. This is amazing with Propagate Execute because you can just propagate twice and Dowsing Machine get any trainer you want for free. And trainer does mean supporter, item, tool, or stadium. It's any of these cards. So Dowsing Machine can be a Versus Seeker, can get back a Rescue Stretcher, a Choice Band, a Stadium, even whatever you want. We have 2 Field Blowers. Reason number 1 we have Field Blower in here is to get rid of opposing Garbotoxin's tools. If they have a Float Stone, it's going to stick, unlike our Klefki, which removes itself at the end of the turn. We want to be able to have an out to get rid of that Float Stone or whatever tool is on their Garbotoxin. And it's also here in case we, for some reason, cannot use Klefki to activate our Garbotoxin, and we need to attach Float Stone to lock our opponent out of an important turn, and then Field Blower it on our turn off of the Garbotoxin. We have 2 Pokemon Communication. Reveal a Pokemon in your hand, put it on top of your deck, search your deck for a Pokemon. So another free way to search for Pokemon, but this one isn't using Propagate. 2 Rescue Stretcher. I think I've noted quite a few uses for this. The 1 Trashalanche, the Klefkis, the 1 Zoroark Foul Play. We have 1 Special Charge, since DCE is very important to us here. We have 4 Ultra Ball. Discard 2 cards, search your deck for a Pokemon. If you have double Propagate, you don't even have to discard 2 cards, theoretically, because you propagate 2 eggs to your hand, then you go ahead and Ultra Ball them back into the discard pile. For Versus Seeker, we're playing a fair amount of different supporters, nothing too fancy in this deck, but Versus Seeker can get them all back whenever you want. 3 Skyfields, so we can have 8 Pokemon on our bench. 1 Acerola, so we can heal our Zoroarks if they don't get one-shotted. We have 1 Bridget to search out our basics on turn 1 usually. The 1 Bridget, my friend Ryan Antonucci noted maybe 1 Bridget isn't the play. You might want 2 to be safe. But there are plenty of turns where I don't even use... There are plenty of games where I don't even use Bridget turn 1. I'm just able to empty my hand, play a Shaman, get some more basic Pokemon, then use like an N or a Sycamore or a Colress or something. And I don't even end up using Bridget. So it's not a huge concern of mine at the moment, especially because we have 4 Ultra Ball and 2 Pokecom and 24 Pokemon in our deck. 2 Colress, because Colress is an amazing draw supporter for this deck, probably the best in a vacuum for this deck, since we are playing Skyfield and we can have so many Pokemon on the bench. Shuffle your hand into your deck, draw a number of cards equal to the number of benched Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's. You're often drawing 10 plus cards with this supporter. 1 Guzma, another card that I'm highly considering playing a second of, but on odds, you'll prize a 1 of like 1 out of roughly 10 games, and 1 out of 6 of those games, the Guzma will be the first card. 1 out of 3, it'll be one of the first 2 prize cards you draw. Something along those lines. But I'm not too worried. I'll take my odds with the 1 Guzma. You're usually able to just kill whatever is active with this deck because of Zoroark's Ride Speeding. So the 1 Guzma is fine. And once we play it, we have potentially 4 more Guzmas because of Versus Seeker. So keep that in mind. It's not like standard format. We have Versus Seeker. 1 N. This is just really great if your opponent gets a lead and your opponent down to 2 or 1 cards. I did this a few times already in tonight's stream. Just end them down to 1 or 2 cards, Garbotoxin, and then sweep the game. Sycamore, if Colress is not an option, N is not an option, discard your hand, draw 7 cards. This supporter never really gets bad. It's always good to have around. Then for tools, we're just playing 2 choice bands to make sure we can hit 210 with our Zoroark. 1 float stone for retreating and sometimes for Garbotoxin. And for energy, we are playing 4 DCE and 2 basic psychic. A blend energy was considered, but for now I'm just sticking to the 2 basic psychic in case of special energy hate. So like I said, I think Garbotoxin is just very, very powerful right now. Chances are most decks expanded, if they're not abusing either abilities or tools, or if they're not abusing both of those, they're abusing one of them. Turbo Dark uses both. Archiestoise really needs Blastoise, that power to function. Trevenant, you can get around Trevenant by using Clef Key instead of Float Stone, and you stop their item lock, things like that, especially opposing Zoroarks. Obviously, they cannot use their trade or their propagate if you have Garbotoxin live, so it's really great. So the strategy of this deck is pretty much lock your opponent's abilities if they have important abilities coming up, or you suspect maybe they need Pokemon like Shaman and Lele to get set up, and then beat them down with Riotous Beating and Trashalanche. And you are able to do that so consistently because of how the deck's engine is built and because of trade. So I hope you guys like this deck profile. Be sure to subscribe for more like this, and check out flipsidegaming.com. Use code CELIO, all caps, for 10% off of your next order, $10 or more. And I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.